Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Yeah.
We're back, Bobby. We're back.
We are back.
There was a brief dream. Cut the music. There was a dream.
I said it earlier, John,
What?
that they weren't moving up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from it. The most predictable thing has always been doing nothing, and that involves no trades and no trades of players, and no trades up. They're hard to do. Even though we did see some weird insanity earlier, including the Pelicans trade way too much to move up to 13 from 16. My goodness gracious, that's one of the worst trades I've ever seen in my life. There was a little dream about a falling player that was Celtics were rumored to be in on, Kasparas Jakučiūnas. And
He was 7th on the athletic board.
Some people had him top 10, whatever you want to call it. Top, different mock drafts had him going, 10, 11,
This is
12.
what we talked about, John.
The 11
difference in the rankings.
There was the 11 to 14 was the sweet spot. So we didn't slide that far. That's kind of, I think, where you saw him the most. But that was somebody the Celtics were rumored to get. There was an intriguing prospect, ended up going number 20 to the Miami Heat. So here we are right now, and let me check where we are. We are at pick 24 was made. The Celtics are picking at 28. So let's kind of reset the board, Bobby. Let's see who from your list is left. And again, I should remind everybody who is watching from home that this show, as always, is powered by our friends over at Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. Pick more, pick less, win up to 1,000 times your cash. And when you do sign up for Prize Picks, which you should do, download that app, enter that promo code CLNS. You get this offer right here. You see it on the screen. Play 5, get 50 instantly in your account when you join today. Once again, play 5, get 50 instantly when you download the app and put in that code CLNS. Bobby, let's put up your big board. We're also going to bring in Jimmy Toscano, who's going to join the fray. He's been watching YouTube clips for the last 30, 40 minutes. So he's ready to go. And hey, Jimmy.
Put him big screen.
And then on top of that, Noah's going to jump in just a minute. And again, Bobby and Noah have many responsibilities, and they're writing and they're talking to sources and they're trying to get a bead on what's going on here. But Bobby, it looks like all of your top targets are here, and there's a few bigs that you think that Celtics are targeting. But you're feeling they're kind of locked in on one player in particular.
Yeah, and Noah's mentioned it as well. Ryan Kalkbrenner, I thought throughout this process has been a great fit for them. Someone that I think they've been connected to in certainly many mock drafts, but also in recent weeks here, I think the interest there has grown in a player like that. Now, is that at 28? Is that at 32? I think that'll be the question here. And yeah, I think he'll be available at this point, but there's a couple bigs, obviously, and you see Maxime Reynaud. Danny Wolf has fallen at this point, who is a mid first round, looking a guy. So he could be in the mix here as well, potentially. But I do think he goes center tonight. Porzingis going out the door, I think, opens the need for a developmental player there. Yeah. And maybe even someone who's a little more ready to go. Yeah. And I think out of those three, Wolf would probably be the closest to playing right away, just based on, knowing their 3 games and what they bring to the table. But Kalkbrenner is my favorite for how he fits in the Celtics defense, how he grew last year, how he developed a 3-point shot that looks like it could translate to the next level potentially here. So he just does a lot of things, John. You mentioned it earlier. What you want to see is a guy that can do multiple things, and his screening ability, the passing ability, which is coming along a little bit with him, as well as the elite rim protection he brings. And this is, I'd say, the best rim protector in the draft. I think just fits their system best and is, out of all of these centers here, most translatable.
2 questions, Bobby, and you're going to carry the mail here because you've done the most work on these guys, particularly at this part in the draft, having talked to a bunch of people and done some of your own scouting and watching film. And let me point out, 25th pick, Orlando Magic select Jace Richardson, Michigan State. So we are now 3 picks away. Why him over someone like Reynaud, who is by most accounts considered because of his being a little bit more raw, picked up basketball maybe a little later. Is that correct?
Yep.
That might have the highest ceiling. And when we were talking earlier, I did say I like those guys also, the ones who might not have reached their potential yet. And I like the higher ceiling type players versus what I do feel Kalkbrenner feels like a safe fit on a team where I think I think you're looking for home runs. And so why do you favor him over someone like Reynaud?
Because I feel better about him working and fitting and, being a guy that they would play. I think he does all the things that they look for, the passing, the high screen ability, the rim running too with him's awesome. And his hands are incredible. He's an alley-oop threat. He's a vertical threat, despite being a bigger, slower footed big. He's always dropping, attacking the rim, always putting his head down. He has a good, face up game too. If someone's going to close him out off the 3-point line, he can get downhill too. Now, when you're talking about threes and when you're talking about the ability to create offense, that's where Reynaud has him beat. But I'm worried about his defense, and that's the concern with him. That's why he's been mostly projected to the second round. And one of the draft evaluators we had on, Rafael Barlow, said he's the best big in the draft. So again, the different opinions you're hearing here are all over the place. If you like him, you like his ability to produce threes. He shot the most pick and pop threes in college last year. Not insanely efficient, but knocked down them at volume. And he took them in a bunch of different ways, like off the dribble, around screens himself, certainly a ton of pick and pops as well. So Reynaud brings more 3-point shooting to the table. With Kristaps Porzingis going out the door, you might want more of that. So if you favor the offensive game, I think he has a more robust scoring game. And he's a better rebounder than Kalkbrenner too, I would say. He averaged like 10, 11 a game. Kalkbrenner was more like 8. But the defense, to me, it's so important to be able to anchor a defense and do all the things you need to do on that end when you're a center. I think other positions you can get away with that, or if you could play at the 4 a little bit, and maybe Reynaud can. He could probably play next to another big like Cornet or Horford that would actually play the 5. So they have other bigs here if they keep a Horford or a Cornet who Reynaud could play next to. But I do worry about the defense a little bit with him. With Kalkbrenner, you're getting an elite rim protector, an elite drop defender, and a guy who, talking to his coaching staff, they think could have switched a little more than he did last year, but they just didn't need him to. They wanted him back at the basket defending the rim. So I just think he's ready to go and a more sure bet to actually be able to play at this level.
Jimmy, what do you got?
Give me Danny Wolf, Bobby.
That's the slider.
Why not?
That's what I'm saying. Give me Danny Wolf. And he's kind of been correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby. He's kind of been a bit of a polarizing guy.
Yeah,
clearly.
for sure. Look at the fact that he's still here.
Right. I mean, I think there were some rumors that he was going to be a, mid-teens type pick potentially. And he's sliding here for whatever reason. And why not? I mean, he's got experience in a big, Michigan's a big school. I think he averaged a double-double, second team. Obviously was one of the biggest or best players in the Ivy League when he was playing there for Yale. And isn't he kind of what Brad Stevens looks for in a big man, Bobby? Versatile, kind of positionless style. Obviously, he's 7 feet, so he has a position, but you're able to move him around the court a little bit, switch on defense. There's a little bit of potential there on both ends of the court, as opposed to like, what is it? The guy from France. Who's the guy from France who seems just basically like, the other one.
No, Noah Penda.
Penda, yeah, he seems more of a defense-only guy, where I'm not really sure how that's going to translate to today's NBA, especially coming from, international league there. So I'm right now where the Celtics are, I'm hoping that Wolf slides to them at 28. I think that's the pick. He fills a position of need, but he's also somebody that, again, we talked about it with John, like
he's
earlier.
The swing John.
Yeah. Right now, you're just
filling
about spots, right?
Yeah, if you're talking about someone that you could pick here who suddenly breaks in your rotation year one, is giving you scoring, is giving you things that you can utilize now, I think out of those 3 guys, he would be the closest to that. Yeah. And it's because he can handle the ball. It's because he can create his own shot. The 3-pointer is a little bit of a mixed bag with him, and he is someone who dominated the ball in college. I mean, if you watch him, he was on the ball all the time. He was pretty much their point guard. So I don't know if he could fill that role here necessarily. Yeah, it's just a matter of whether he'd be able to play a role like that here. I think you got to be able to play off ball a little more if you're coming to this team. But they'll obviously.
Don't you think it's easier to transition to off ball? Don't you think it's easier to transition to that, Bobby? Don't you think? I mean,
for sure,
he has the ability to ball handle. He has the ability to make plays. He has the ability to do all these things. You're asking him to kind of do something different, but in a way do less, right? Which theoretically you should be able to adapt to that, as opposed to being a guy that just plays away from the ball. And now you're asking him to do more. So I think that's an easier transition. And I just feel like if he does slide to them at this point, I mean, why not, right? I mean, a little bit more of an upside there than some of the other guys that were on your list, which it makes sense why they were on your list where they were.
He wasn't on my list because I didn't think he'd be there.
Right, exactly. So that's
your fault, Bobby.
Bobby.
Nothing you can do about that. We have Ben Saraf went 26 to Brooklyn. They're on the clock again,
a guard,
I believe. There. So again,
he was on the end of my list just because I couldn't figure out who else to put on there. Honestly, I didn't love a lot of the players in this range. Very raw passing point guard with size. I think he's like 6'5", played in Germany this year. So he was not ready to go and ready to contribute right away, I would say, which makes sense for the Nets.
So again, I mean, that's what you got.
So we're up to 27?
27 right now.
Closing in here.
Okay.
We're very
So let me hit on Penda for a second because I think he could potentially go here.
Somebody send me one.
I'll hit on Penda for a second here.
Go ahead.
Penda.
Jimmy mentioned defense only. I do think that's a good description of him right now because I don't know what his offensive game is going to be. I think he's 6'8", 240, so he's got an NBA-ready frame at this point. Very large player. He's a big body for sure, probably a 4, I would say, and a great athlete. It was my favorite description in this whole draft research process, again, from Rafael Barlow, who called him athletically what you would think of with Paul Pierce. Big guy, a little bit of a doughy
Pierce was
frame,
athletic,
but he can move.
Sneaky athletic
like Paul
athletic.
Pierce. Now, he's not Paul Pierce, right? But that's the way he moves. And he can move at 240 pounds. His defensive rotations are excellent. Can guard pretty much every position. I think there's even some potential for him to guard some 5-7 foot wingspan along with that strength. And at 20 years old, I view a guy like that as a blank slate, a guy that you could develop and put into different roles. He's a great passer when he gets the ball in his hands. He's not a point guard, not a primary facilitator, but he can make plays within the flow of the offense. So I think they would like that. The 3-point shot with him, I think he was 37 on catch and shoots, probably low 30s overall. So that's a work in progress, but the form looks decent with him. That's probably where he's going to have to contribute offensively for the most part because he didn't finish great at the rim, didn't create a ton of separation off the dribble. So he's a wild card for sure. Like Jimmy said, there's a lot of questions with the offense there with him, but athletically and his size open the door to being able to mold him into a bunch of different roles. And he's a younger guy. So if you're taking a longer term view here, that could be a development project for you. And again, I note him because Joe Mazzulla was in France earlier this month, had dinner with his coach, was in the city where he played, Le Mans, I believe it's called, just outside of Paris. So I think there's some smoke there in terms of interest in him. They also worked him out a year ago when
we lost Danny Wolf.
The draft process. He's gone at 27.
Yeah, 27, Danny Wolf. Nice job. Nice job, Bobby.
Did I jinx it? I didn't want to say
That's always
anything.
how it goes, right? Pretty far fall for him. I think the athleticism with him translates.
Celtics are on.
He's really goofy
clock.
Looking too. So
who's the pick, Bobby?
You know who I would compare him to, John? He has the ball in his hands a lot more, but Kelly Olynyk is like the perfect comparison for Danny Wolf.
How about Yang Hansen just chilling in the stands?
Hansen Yang.
As he get, Hansen. No, Yang Hansen.
I thought it's Hansen Yang.
No, it's Yang Hansen. He's one of the Hansen brothers. But anyways,
I'm standing by Hansen Young.
I'm reading.
Hansen
I'm
Yang.
just reading what is Yang Hansen. I'm reading what it says
You want to break the
on
tie,
Twitter.
John?
John, which one is it?
It's both.
Yeah, it's both. Point
Yeah.
is, he's just chilling in the stands like one of the people.
He was there?
He was on draft night, but he wasn't like
In
invited.
China,
He wasn't on the floor.
in Chinese names, the surname comes before the main name.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
say it that way, you're correct. But here in America, they will call him Hanson Yang.
Okay. So
Okay.
I guess we're both right, Jimmy.
You're both
All
right.
right.
So
I
you'll
guess
see it. You'll
so.
see it. You'll see it both ways. But that's the explanation. Anyway, go ahead.
like
Okay.
Yao Ming and Ming Yao.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
I never heard Ming Yao, but anyways, go on.
I think they're going to go Kalkbrenner here. Could be Penda. I think Penda maybe lasts at 32 tomorrow. Obviously, the Celtics going to pick number 2 overall tomorrow, but I think they have Rain out here. Maybe he slides into that spot now that they're missing Porzingis' skill set. But I do think they're going to go a center here. I think they need a development piece at that position. And there's so much uncertainty around Al Horford and Luke Cornett right now. How could you not go with a center at this spot and try to have a bunch of different options at that position? And you know the coolest part, John? He played for 2 years with Baylor Shireman.
Danny
So
Wolf
that'll be
would have
an
been
easy
sick
storyline.
on the
It's
Celtics.
so cool.
Danny Wolf might have been the next Larry Bird. I was ready to call it. Damn, it's too
Well,
bad.
we'll see if he'll be in Brooklyn, Jimmy. It's an easy trip down there to see the next Bird.
Well, Bobby, I'll ask you this: whatever happens here, is there anyone that nothing excites you, right?
No, nothing. I'm doing backflips.
Goodman just broke the news.
Who is it?
You want me to say it?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Hugo Gonzalez.
For the Celtics, huh?
The Boston Celtics will select Hugo Gonzalez with the 28th pick. Sources tell the field of 68, which is Jeff
So-
Goodman.
That was not a player I was expecting at this spot, but he was definitely slated in this range. He's a guard.
Hugo.
not necessarily-
Wait, Hugo or Hugo? Who? Hugo?
Hugo Gonzalez, Spanish guard out of Real Madrid.
My Lord.
He's young. He's super early in his development. What I was talking about with Penda, I think he's even younger and less along in his development. He played 10 minutes per game for Real Madrid, so didn't play a ton for that team. He's been in their system, I want to say, since he was like a young teenager, but he hasn't really found his mold yet as a player. There's definitely some passing ability there that he flashed. I think he has some good size for the position. But when you're looking at the numbers, when you're looking at the productivity right now, there's almost nothing there because he didn't play for the team. Like, there were veterans in front of him. Again, he's on the younger side of things here.
If
I
you're
got some
Brett,
notes on
what do you
him that I'll
like?
pull up.
What
You're probably liking the upside, the age, the
old
ability
is
to
he?
grow into a role. He is, as I pull him up here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you just.
I would guess he's 20.
He's 19 years old.
So he's 6'6", 200 pounds.
Oh God, we've got another Yamadar situation.
We got a Yamadar situation.
We've got a Yamadar situation.
You're going to send him
everybody.
back to Spain for 3 years.
He could
there.
stay in Spain.
But he is considered. He is considered athletic.
Is this a cost savings move?
Maybe. Yeah.
In some
keep him
way.
over there for a year.
possible?
That's the thing, right? And we said it earlier, John. We were going to get some idea of their direction, their thinking for what this year is going to be. And this draft pick does say a lot, right? Potential draft and stash option, a guy who's definitely not going to play for you this year, and a younger developmental player rather than the centers we've talked about. And those centers could still be there tomorrow at number 2. There's only, 2 more picks today. So those could be options again tomorrow. Penda was the guy I was mentioning in that regard. You're probably not going with him at this point tomorrow after you take a guy like this at this position. But yeah, this was not a guy I had on my radar. So 7-foot wingspan, 6'6", had just I lost
Hugo
him here.
Gonzalez, huh?
Yep. Yeah, so he, again, played for Real Madrid last year. Just 3 points a game, only played about 10 minutes a game, 7-foot wingspan. In the process of developing his jumper and handle game to pair with his strengths right now, which are defense and slashing. He's a versatile defender. He's athletic, has good awareness, but 27% from 3 in 3 years with Real Madrid. Like you mentioned earlier, close to 80% at the free throw line, so that could improve. But right now, not generating a lot of offense for himself
Bobby,
and others.
what I said, what I said earlier, and again, we're not going to sit here and pretend that we're Hugo Gonzalez experts, but just in terms of profiles, one, wings are wings, and they obviously have value in a positionless NBA and switchable, and a player who can defend the position, which I think is something that they like here, who's athletic and young and can still grow into the role. I'm fine. The players that I say I favor looking for potential home runs are guys who are sliding for whatever reason or not, because fit or who knows, some sort of reason that doesn't really apply to you, or I don't mind the project at this point, because again, some goofy, steaky center that might be able to fill a hole isn't gonna raise the ceiling of anything. Fine, it is what it is. But again, I'm not worried about next year and a person who can come in and contribute right away. And the idea of them drafting a big, which everybody seemed to be really focused on, was based on immediate need, which I just don't think is something that you're necessarily concerned about. So
why is it based on an immediate need? Why can't they draft a center and think, oh, this guy could be good for the next 5 years?
If they do, what I'm saying is a lot of the players that were put here were it plugs an area of need and he's pretty good. I don't mind taking a shot at somebody you think might turn into something more a little bit later, if that's what they actually think. So
is it that, John, though, or is it what Jimmy said, that he's not on the roster next year and you're saving $2 million?
Look, we don't know.
I hope that's not it. That would be crazy work. Right. I just chat GPT'd the guy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I said, explain how Hugo Gonzalez fits with the Celtics. ChatGPT says what he brings: two-way versatility and defensive intensity, playmaking upside, it's a smooth athlete with strong court vision, high IQ, team-oriented style. Scouts highlight his Swiss Army knife skill set.
ESPN says they're bringing him over right away, according to someone in our chat. For what
developmental areas, 3-point consistency. His perimeter shooting needs refinement. Turnovers and playmaking polish. That's every rookie, I would say. What's the fit with the Celtics? Roster and salary structure. Style of play and identity, because the Celtics value switchable defensive wings. And developmental timeline, boasting high-level experience against European professionals in international competition. He could be NBA ready sooner than college prospects.
Well, who will love this? All my friends over in Madrid.
Of which you have many.
Yeah, a lot of Celtics fans over in Madrid. Many of them.
We're massive.
I was texting them about this guy because he's been playing there for years. And
Celtics fans got angry for the first time.
Right.
This is what it took.
This is the blankest of slates. And what Jimmy said about the intensity defensively is right. He's played with the younger national team over there, and during one of the tournaments had 3 steals a game. He's definitely got some intensity on that side of the floor and good size and all of that. But the offensive game, his offensive role is complete work in progress.
That's what I'm gathering here. Basically that, and wasn't it you guys who said that, if you can't shoot by now, you probably can't?
Well, he's 19. So
True.
There's some potential there, certainly, but it hasn't shown in any of his seasons there. And again, I think the biggest thing with him to consider, again, is that he just didn't play for his team. So it's so hard to go off what he did last year. You're going off national team stuff. Yeah, you're going off some of the highlight reels of him probably playing in some random tournaments for their U18 team or whatever. So there's not a lot to go off here. You're going off the measurables. You're going off projecting him into a role eventually. And again, depending on where this roster goes, even if they do continue to tear this thing down a little bit, I don't think this is a guy who's playing for you next year. Now, I'm glad he's coming over, which you guys mentioned, right?
That's what John's saying. You can quote John on that. Bobby, we need to figure out who the overseas scouts are for the Celtics and do a little digging and figure out what it is that they clearly were high on about this guy. That's
for sure.
That's what I need.
I will say, too, that's a pretty competitive league, the Spanish league. So he's been in a great program since he was young. Playing against great competition when he did play. The national team's really good there. Obviously, I'd say maybe the second best in the world behind the U.S.
Yeah. You know who liked this guy? You know who liked him?
Who?
Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor was on with Noah podcast last week. KOC was in on Hugo. We're going to hear him talk about it.
To hear that.
Right now. Now.
Action.
I've pressed play.
and cut.
That's all I can do. That was Kevin O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
You can imagine what it would be like.
Oh my God, he's glowing. He's gushing. Oh, this is my favorite part.
He plays with the versatility he has, the rebounding impact he's capable of making as well, the at-room finish.
Here he is.
The connective passing with him, and some of the flashes we've seen, again, like to reference Gavoni over Draft Express, who is really tied in with these international guys. He has Gonzalez ranked, I think, in the early 20s or late teens even. And anytime Gonzalez gets minutes, he shows off more handling, more creation ability than he does in his really constricted, defined role for Real Madrid. So with him, I think there's an upside there that's worth a swing. And if Boston does keep both those picks in the middle of the draft, maybe you take one swing and then go for one certain guy. Gonzalez would be one of those guys who I think makes sense as a swing.
There it is. KOC has spoken. One thing to point out, one of the reasons you have limited minutes and limited tape on a guy like this at the age of 19, when you're playing professional ball over in Europe for the big boy teams, you're playing with men. It's a different ball game altogether than if you were playing college. So that has to be factored in. And we know Brad Stevens is going to talk any minute, so we might wrap our stream and let those guys get over. Amit, if you have to set up for Brad right now, let us know and we'll drop off and we might jump back on later.
William McNeely, 29. So
see Moose back there.
One more picture.
All right, guys, we actually do have to wrap this stream because we're going to run over. We're going to shoot Brad Stevens' press conference. It's going to be live. We'll jump back on later.
There's Noah.
We do have to end this stream right now, so we apologize because we're just getting going talking about this pick. We will jump on after, but we are going to wrap it up right now. This is the Garden Report. We'll be back in just a little bit, but stay, Bobby. We got to go. We got to go right now. We've got to set up this shot. We'll bring Brad Stevens to you live.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me. I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what?